Well, welcome back as we continue on our special Veterans Day edition of Focus Today. And coming up next, or we have next here today, Bill Yenne. He is the author of the recently published biography, Hap Arnold, or better known as Harley Arnold, the general who invented the U.S. Air Force. And he also has written extensively about the history of military aviation. And Bill, nice to have you with us. I'd give anything to see your library and some of your photos.
Yeah, it would be great fun to show it to you. I've got some wonderful stuff.
Oh, I'd love to see it. I'm an aviation enthusiast. Well, this is quite a story. What zeroed you in on Hap Arnold?
Well, I've been, as you said, I've been writing about military aviation for many, many, many years, and Hap's name is one that comes up consistently, and sort of a household word at my household, but realized that it's been many decades since there was a biography of him, and I thought he deserved it. He's one of the comments that I like to make is that there's probably no other 20th century general, maybe even no general since George Washington, that is so universally well liked within his own service.
Wow.
I mean, you go to Patton and MacArthur, and some people think they're the greatest thing ever. Others think that they're evil for various reasons, which we need not belabor, but Hap is extremely well respected within his own service.
Why is there so little information about him?
Well, it's that's something that I find bewildering. I've crossed paths with his name so many times in my work, but to realize that among the general public, he is so much less well known. I'm not so sure, although I think you could probably go as far as to say that there's a lot of generals from World War II that nowadays are not so well known as time goes on.
Is it true that he received the 5-star general ranking twice?
Yeah, the way that worked was that during the Second World War, there were a number of generals and admirals that were given 5-star rank because just because of the sheer number of people that they commanded, and the British had field marshals, and we didn't have any equivalent rank in our services, so they created that. At that time, the Air Force, it was the U.S. Army Air Forces, was a part of the Army, and so he got his 5-star rank in 1944 as an Army general. And then after the war, when the Air Force that he had been building toward the creation of, when it was finally created, the independent U.S. Air Force, he retained his 5-star rank in a new service. So that made him a general in 2 services.
When did he learn how to fly?
1911.
Wow.
You might also ask who his flight instructor was, and I would have to tell you it was Orville Wright.
Wow. Wow. All right. So did he fly a variety of aircraft or what?
Yeah. He flew the variety that was there. In 1911, the Army did not have a lot of airplanes, and the Army was buying Wrights, and when they bought a Wright airplane, part of the package was that the guys who built it showed you how to fly it, and so that's how that started. And he did fly a variety of aircraft, and after the First World War, he went in and out of desk jobs because that's how you advance in the military. Wow. And he was his fondest memory was commanding the bomber fleet of the first wing out of March Field in Southern California.
Wow.
And after that, he was exiled to a desk as assistant chief of the U.S. Army Air Corps in Washington, and then he became chief, and that was his latter career path.
Well, you know, turning the U.S. Army Air Corps into a full branch of the military, into the Air Force, was no easy task, right?
Well, it certainly was not, but one of the first things that he was able to achieve was autonomy within the U.S. Army. That was with the creation of the U.S. Army Air Forces, which was an autonomous organization. George Marshall, who was the chief of staff of the U.S. Army, was an old friend of his and understood air power and was willing to do that, and they probably would have gotten an independent Air Force in 1941, but they had sort of other distractions going on at the time, which like a world war to win, and so they a lot of the nuances, like a separate logistics organization and all of that sort of stuff, was postponed until after the Second World War was won. So which I was going to say, that war was won in no small part because of Hap's U.S. Army Air Forces.
Right. So what was the actual inauguration date of the U.S. Air Force?
September of 1947.
Okay. All right. And does his influence have a little bit of a post-war influence into the international airlines?
Well, interestingly enough, Hap Arnold built the world's first intercontinental airline. This was the U.S. Army's Air Transport Command, and it was the first truly intercontinental airline. It was a transport fleet with regularly scheduled service to every single continent except Antarctica.
Wow.
And they had regular routes on the North Atlantic, the South Atlantic, across the Pacific, across the Middle East, across South Asia, across India, across North Africa, regularly scheduled transport service. And he built that. That was one of his pet projects as commander of the Army Air Forces.
He had what was the aircraft? What kind of aircraft did they use for that?
Primarily it was C-47s, which is the military version of the DC-3, and C-54s, which was the military version of the DC-4, the four-engine plane. That was sort of the queen of the fleet. They had a few constellations and used C-46s in some of the theaters on a limited basis, mainly C-47s and C-54s.
I got to let you go, but one other question. Was the Constellation the first Air Force One under Eisenhower?
Actually, the first, the history of Air Force Ones, the first one was the C-54 called Sacred Cow that took Roosevelt to Yalta. That was the first one, and then Truman had the C-118, which is the equivalent of the DC-6. But Eisenhower did have a series of Constellations.
Wow, interesting. Well, Bill, thanks for your time. Where can people get a copy of your book?
Well, you can always get it at Amazon. Just put in Hap Arnold and it should pop up. My name is Yenne, Y-E-N-N-E, and I hope they'll have a chance to buy it and read it. And there's a lot of fun anecdotes in there that I didn't have a chance to talk about, and some great World War II history, and a lot of information about a guy that, if you're interested in military history, you ought to check him out.
All right. Well, we had a picture of it there on the screen, and you can check it out. Hap Arnold, check it out at Barnes & Noble or online at Amazon.com. Bill, thanks, my friend, and blessings to you, and thanks for giving us your time today.
My pleasure.
All right. See you soon. All right. We'll be right back here on Focus Today.